Thank you for joining us and taking the time to talk to us about digital governance. Could you please give us a little intro about yourself and tell us what you've been up to?
Yes, well, first of all, thanks for having me, and exactly excited to be part of season one in that sense. Look, in Estonia, have been up to digital stuff for quite some time, and as a government chief information officer with our team, we are at the helm of this. So our job is to, set the direction and make sure that the government that goes in this way. So what we have been up to is exactly making sure that Estonia keeps making the most of digital opportunities as they move along.
What's your role like as the CIO? I think you've been in the role since 2017.
Well, on a daily basis, well, basically, it's not a one-man show, right? Or one-woman show. So we are a team here. In the government CIO office, which is the team, so we coordinate how our government uses digital opportunities. So basically, it means that we work on a policy level and we do four or five things. We set the strategy. We, of course, put in place the rules, requirements, standards, regulation like that. So making sure that, there's like the framework is in place. Third, we fund development. So if an agency or, somebody wants to build a new service, they come to us and we give them a boost in terms of funding. Fourth thing, what we do is that we also advise and consult, also all the way to technical architecture and business process design. So how to make your stuff better. And the fifth thing is we lead on experimentation. So we lead on new stuff. Like for example, we took 2 years ago artificial intelligence, and we started sort of bringing out those first projects with agencies involved. So it's like championing or leading the new movements, new initiatives like that. So that's what fills our days. I mean, if you ask very concretely, I think as with all the managers, it's a lot of meetings and talking and stuff like that every day. But in a way, that's what gets things going. So I always like to say that we are in the business of making the machinery of government run differently, because the buzzword is digital transformation. It means that we change how we work as a government constantly, and so we have to then put in place the right levers and mechanisms to make sure that the government actually goes this way. That's our job in government CI office.
When you mentioned digital transformation, like Estonia has been considered a digital nation for quite a while now. And what was the journey towards becoming a digital country, a digital first country? And what were the main challenges? What are the next steps that you envision having achieved so much? So what's next for you?
Well, it's easy to talk about 20 plus years of work in a few minutes. So it's been quite a journey and a long one in that sense. But it doesn't have to be that long anymore today, and I will go back to that. Well, for us, we started going digital because we are so small. I mean, obviously, in Maldives, it's the same thing, or even harder a challenge. But in a country of 1.3 million people that we are, wanting to be a full government, we have to be very effective and efficient in how we do things. So that's what led us to experimentation with digital services in the first place back in the day. As these experiments worked, indeed, we were able to deliver better government, through that. Then it became a conscious strategy, an effort, and that's all the way to today. So for us, the journey has been in that sense, starting with experimentation, seeing what works, scaling from there. It's this sort of, very sort of startup-like approach in a way, has been leading us, and we still use that when we start new initiatives like that. We try stuff out, we fail sometimes miserably, try again, see, scale from that. So Estonian journey has been in phases. First experimentation, then scaling, experimentation to see how digital can work. That's what brought us the platforms like Digital Identity and X-Road and a few things like that. These made it faster for the next stage for all agencies to start digitizing their stuff, building on the building blocks that had been built before by others. So the next stage was really about scaling and mainstreaming digital across the whole government. Just like you said, reaching the point where almost anything you can do online except get married and divorced. So and then really the third or the fourth phase afterwards has been about sort of rebuilding a lot of that. So that's what we're doing now, is to say that we have built up that yes, or everything's online, but it's not always the most user friendly. And technology, of course, moves ahead all the time as well. It opens up new opportunities for us to do things differently again. So we are in a cycle of like redesign and reiteration and to avoid legacy, but also to then employ new tools. So I'm sure we'll talk more about them, but that's why we moved to like artificial intelligence strongly. So this for us is a big next thing. So we see that it allows us to take the efficiency to the next level again. We had reached a plateau in terms of the efficiency effect. Now with AI, we can again sort of reap more, leave the more routine stuff really for the machines to handle, and then free up human officials in a way to do more valuable jobs in the government. Another thing, we are redesigning how a lot of services work. So even if they're independently online available, if your child is born, you can do all things online. It's 4 or 5 places you go to do stuff. But actually, it could be one interaction. So we are redesigning them into bundles around the things, events happening in your life. And the idea is that it would at least at most be one interaction. You get your stuff done, whatever different agencies and sort of incremental silos are behind. So it's a redesign effort more than a technological effort. And the whole idea is to make government invisible. So if you have a need, government will organize in the back end sort of invisibly for you, and you get one interaction, get everything done. And so on and so on. So basically, as I said, it's a redesign phase. A lot of my challenge these days is to have this constant innovation and iteration cycle going.
You've actually kind of answered my second question, which was like having almost 99% of all the government services online. What is it like for an everyday Estonian? I mean, what is their experience? But when you mentioned that you already redesigned a lot of these systems to become a lot more efficient, I guess that would mean that everything, you're actually making all of these things a lot easier for the user end.
Exactly. So for us, the learning curve and the challenge, you asked about challenges, was that we built up things very much like tech-driven ways in the past, but not always the most sort of centric or user-friendly like that. So that's been a very strong part of the redesign. It's one thing if stuff is available online, and by the way, I mean Estonians were even happy to use it, even if it was cumbersome, because it still made life better. You didn't have to go to an office, queue there, all that stuff. You save time and money, even if it was clumsy to use. But that's not okay. I mean, it has to be intuitive to use. And what we are very much after is in a way to say it's easy to put a process online just by copying the paper about the digital, but actually we can redesign the processes in a way that they happen invisibly, that perhaps we don't even need to involve the citizen. So let me give you an example. So we have one of the most streamlined tax services in the world. So basically, for an average person, getting your taxes done is less than 3 minutes. So you just review your annual, data and okay this and send it to the tax office, so to speak. But why do we ask for this? Actually, it could be automatic. Based on this, we know that 90%, 95% of people don't change anything. So we could use this analogy and sort of see how can we make stuff proactive, happen automatically in the back end. You intervene only if you have to. So that's a lot of the challenges. That's the ultimate user friendliness, I would say, is that when government doesn't bother you, unless you need to involve them.
The e-residency program is something that was very much talked about when I first visited Estonia. It was around 2016, I think. And back then, like, I don't think anyone had any idea where we could be like today. I see that as something very visionary for you guys to come up with at a time when people were not thinking about solutions like this. So how do you see this developing, like where it is right now, and how many e-residents do you have right now, and like how do you foresee the future for this program, and how do you see this being improved?
So e-residence, yes. I mean, thank you for the kind words first. and we still feel we are at the beginning of with it, just because we are still scaling the original business model, and now in the next stage thinking about adding new service areas to that. I mean, e-residence in a nutshell, for those who haven't heard, is that you can apply and get Estonian government digital identity, and through that use the services we offer from a remote, from wherever you are in the world. So, you can be in Maldives, never come to Estonia, although we like it to come. And you can set up a company, run it from a distance, and do business in the whole European Union with that. So basically, we offer like a gateway to get stuff done in EU, or a nice, easy company entity that you can use if you roam around the world. For example, if you spend some time in Maldives, sometimes elsewhere, You still need somehow, if you offer your services, for example, you're a programmer, you're a designer, you do e-commerce, you still need a base somehow where to have your legal entity at to use for invoicing, for the contracting, all that stuff. So we offer you that jurisdiction and an access to that remotely, to yourself. You don't need any middleman on the ground, like a local accountant or local whatever. So you just run it for yourself from a distance. So we have opened up our company services basically for the wide world. That's what is e-residency. And we are getting each week more e-residents than their babies born. So, in that sense, we are growing faster in the sort of digital space like that. The economic community keeps growing very fast. And what we're after is, first of all, we still want to scale it even more, add issuing points around the world. We just had a new announcement last week where we expanded to like a new phase beyond our embassies and consulates. So we're quite excited about that. Secondly, we're looking to, as I said, we're investigating new areas where we could provide services for e-residents. So is there something, they would like in health or whatever else like that, to sort of see, what else, what other value, what other sort of services would be useful for you besides just running your company like that. But yeah, it's been a great ride, and we so appreciate all those who exactly have jumped at this opportunity. It's great to have so many friends around the world.
Speaking of people moving there, like we noticed that the government introduced a digital nomad visa, I think about a year back. So how popular has the program been so far, and like what kind of applications are you getting, and how do you see a program like this in a place like, for example, Maldives? Like because we are known as this tourist destination where people just come here for vacation, but now with the remote working becoming normal and people starting to work more and more remotely, how do you see a program like that working in a place like Maldives, and how do you foresee new programs like this all around the world?
Yeah, so the digital nomad visa is an attempt to attract basically more startups, more entrepreneurs, more founders to do business in our startup ecosystem, which has been booming anyway, but we are eager to grow it even more. So, we welcome you to come in for 6 months or more and basically just exactly try setting up a company here. If it gets traction, you can then, apply for residence or whatever else like that. It's basically a track for you to come try to build your stuff and launch it to the world. But our advantage there has been that we all have this very easy to do business environment. So it's easy to do business here. We don't have anything compared to Maldives in terms of weather and nature. So there you go. I think that can definitely work to your advantage. And if you can somehow, I think the trick exactly is to combine, obviously, great natural heritage and sort of surroundings and that you have. But it also needs this business environment. So exactly having a nice place just doesn't cut it or do the trick alone. So, I mean, there has to be, enough, it has to be really easy to start a company, run it, grow it. It has to be sort of talent available. So, I mean, these other factors come in as well, unfortunately. It has to be a package like that. So, but yes, no, look, I root for you in that sense. So, if something like a digital nomad or basically the very startup friendly framework is there in Maldives, hey, even I might come.
You mentioned evolving your systems more towards AI. Can you tell us a little bit about what Kratt is and how it works?
So Kratt is an acronym or basically a nickname we have used for all things AI in Estonia. It's somehow an attempt to make this great, new, but complicated to understand technology more comprehensible for people on the street even. So Kratt in Estonian mythology used to be a creature that worked really in your advantage, right? So basically it was doing deeds for you. But at the same time, if you misused it, it also could crack your neck. So that's the sort of analogy we have used for AI to say that, look, it's an awesome tool. It can be a very powerful tool, but we have to use it wisely and consciously. Otherwise, exactly, it can go out of hand. So that sort of was the analogy why we use it. But look, the other way, what to mention is that so with Kratt using that term, we have brought out an initiative where we sort of see that the world is going the way of virtual assistants. So it will be not the websites, the apps in our phone, whatever, that will be our gateway to the services. It will be the Siris, the Google assistants, the others in your fridge, car, boat, whatever, right? So these assistants will be the interface. So our idea is very simple. If that will happen, we have to make sure our whole government services are available through those assistants and also all government information. So we want to be early on this. So Kratt A.I for us is a program to really first experiment in this direction. How can our government link up to the virtual assistants and make ourselves available through them? And then, then based on these experiments to see how to make it work, then scale it out. So we have this very clear plan. All our government stuff has to be available through assistants. That's the interface of the future. That's the way to make things most invisible and most easy to use from people's point of view. Because our most natural interaction is voice, right? Just like we're speaking here. So assistance would enable the most natural way of accessing information and the service.
Taking AI to the next level, how do you envision an AI-powered government? Is it something that's close in the future in terms of ethical use and deployment? What do you think of it reaching a Terminator, Skynet kind of situation? Are we at any risk there?
Well, the risk is always there, but that was our point with the Kratt analogy. I mean, we had to be conscious not to sort of, how we use stuff, right? I mean, any tool can be used good or bad, even an axe, right? To chop wood or for something much worse, right? So my point being that, if we use the tools consciously, something like Terminator stuff is not the issue, right? But always the risk is always there, but that risk we can manage. That's my point. The other point is, AI is here. I mean, it's around us, and then that really what led us to doing stuff with it in a way. Just even with the current state of AI development, the machine learning abilities there. First, they move very fast, but even with them, if existing stuff, we can reap benefits. So, our phones, you and I, our phones can, understand our spoken text and turn it into, written text, right? But even all the way to last year, we still had people in our courts and parliament typing up proceedings, so minutes of the meeting, so to speak, right? Why? So we use machines and technology for that. So yes, we had a trick that we had to make the machines understand the Estonian language, but that's doable. So now, yeah, all the sort of transcriptions come automatically for us. So many examples around it. We have about 100 cases out there live in works and so forth throughout different parts of government. And it's been about getting this momentum going to see that, look, there are many things, both back end and front end, we can automate with AI even as it stands today. And so we should reap those efficiencies. And then the next level ultimately is the Kratt A.I thing that I spoke about. So if that's the optimization of how the government works, then the next thing is exactly taking the government interactions for people to the next level, and that's the virtual assistant stuff. But that's a bit longer. It needs still work, and like I said, we're experimenting with this only. AI stuff otherwise, that's live use.
We've read about some of your collaborations with governments in Finland, Canada, and some places where they're also looking to replicate this digital system that you have over there. So, how far have these projects gone? Like, are these still ongoing? And how do you see a system like this working in a place like Maldives? Like, we are already decentralized. We are split into over 1,000 islands, and accessing information is quite challenging for us. So how do you see the challenges, and how do you see a system like what you have being implemented in a place like this? Can that be implemented, or does it have to be redesigned from scratch?
Well, let me start by saying that there's a joke, but there is some truth to it. That why we started going digital in Estonia. Well, I said the efficiency version, but the other thing is that we have crap weather. So for a big part of the year. So if it's snow, blizzard outside, or even worse, like windy and muddy and stuff, so you don't want to go out. So, but how do you still get your stuff done? Well, now you can do it from the comfort of your home or office, right? So if I take this analogy, then I mean you have a different setting, but I mean it's very hard for me to imagine. I'm looking from outside, so sorry, but it's very hard for me to imagine. How can you really exactly run the same level of government if you don't do it digitally? Exactly because of the remoteness, like you say, the distance between islands and stuff. So if connectivity is there, then obviously digital services is the only way to basically sort of pull it off, right? But it's easy for me to say from outside. But the other point, you don't have to start from scratch at all. First of all, I mean, there has been stuff I'm sure that's happened in Maldives. You can build on that. But secondly, there's also that, look, there's so much experience and solutions to go around from Estonia, from other countries. I mean, it's very hard to take the full model and implement it in another place. It has to be customized because governance differences, processes differ a bit, cultural differences, whatever. But you can take the bits and pieces, something, the best practices from everywhere, and then sort of bring them in one by one and build your own even better stuff on top of them. This is how we built Estonia. We didn't invent stuff on the go. We took what worked elsewhere, but sometimes improved it, made it own. Some things we built from scratch. Some things we took off the shelf. Basically, it's using whatever the best things are there, and there's so much more practice, policy lessons, solutions now in the world if you start than what we had 20 years ago. So basically, that's why it can be so much faster to get digital in a government these days. It doesn't have to be 20 years of story. So my other point is, but obviously, what we believe in is sharing. So if Estonian experience can be somehow helpful in Maldives, just ask, right? A lot of stuff what we build is available open source. Just pick them and use them. We'll be happy to our experts are happy to help you in the process if you need. But my point being, yes, I mean, there's so much you can build on. It's not a scratch game at all anymore.
We've talked about a lot of different projects already, like e-residency, digitization, like digital Nomad visa, and so from everything that you've been part of, that's been introduced over there, like what are you most proud of? What excites you the most?
Well, two things. Well, going to the beginning of our conversation, then, as I said, a lot of our job is around oiling the machinery of government and rebuilding the machinery of government. I think, in my subjective view, I'm happy to say I think we've gotten the innovation and iteration cycle going again, and that's been quite a feat, from all our office. So using different mechanisms and policy levers for that. But if I had to bring up one initiative, then what I'm most excited about myself is the Kratt A.I thing, really the building out for the world of virtual assistants. This is I think, the most forward-looking program, and we are breaking some technological novel ground there as well. So that might really be the thing that leaves a legacy, I hope, at some point.
So yeah, that
Yeah.
concludes all our questions, and thank you very much for taking the time to do this call with us.
No, thanks so much, and good luck to you. And as said, if we can be of help from Estonia, always happy to talk and share. Thank you.